Let us keep this train moving along and talk to one of the big stars of this past weekend, Aaron Pico, once again proving why he is one of the top stars in this sport, a rising star unlike any other. It is unbelievable watching this man fight, and this time on Saturday, he fought his toughest opponent, and he passed that test with flying colors. An unbelievable performance. He defeats Leandro Higo via TKO in the first, and he does so in a fight that was stopped, in my opinion, 30 to 45 seconds late. Let's talk to Aaron right now about the big win. Aaron, how are you?
I'm good, Ariel. How's everything? Good to be back on the show.
It is a pleasure, as always. Congratulations on what I think was your best performance, your best win against your toughest opponent. Do you agree with that assessment, Aaron? Do you think that fight was stopped late? Like, what is going through your mind when it just seems like he's out of it and the ref isn't stopping it?
Yeah, honestly, Ariel, it was the biggest fight of my career so far. He's a tough guy, very, very tough opponent that I was ready for, but I think it was stopped too late. I was hitting him in the face just looking at him, and I knew he was out. And it was kind of, I was getting ready to look at the ref, like, you going to stop it? You could see it in his face as I was hitting him, but, you know, like this sport, don't stop until the ref pulls you off. So unfortunately, that's what you have to do. He took more punches than he needed to, and yeah, that's that. But he, by all means, he's a very, very tough guy.
Could you tell in the limited amount of time that you fought him that he is better than your other opponents? Like, could you sense a difference in competition here, or did the fight not last long enough?
No, I knew he was tough. I knew, you know, he got me with some good punches and things like that. But on all the opponents that I have fought have had more experience than me, and you know, even like my second fight against a guy against Justin Lin, you know, he came to fight. He was actually a really, really tough guy, and you know, so on all the guys that I fought. But he definitely, Leandro Higo definitely brought his A game, and he came to fight. But my power, my pace was just too much for him. I could feel it. But we just got to keep improving for sure. I got a lot to learn.
A lot was made of the fact that you had Freddie Roach in your corner this time. How did that come to be? Did you ask him? He asked you? How did that happen?
Yeah, he's always. I've obviously spent a lot of time there with Freddie. I'm there boxing, and he wanted to be at my last fight, but I couldn't make it out because you know, he had a boxer fighting on the same weekend, which I totally understood. So he said, when you have no boxers fighting, and I want to, you know, come to, you know, be in the corner. I've asked him before, and he said, yeah, absolutely, I would love to be there. So, you know, he had nobody fighting this weekend, and it was really special to have him in the corner. That's something that I'm always going to remember. It was a big day for me. I mean, to have him and, you know, Bob Cook, Antonio, I had a great team behind me, and we got the job done.
You know, it was interesting because I was worried that, not so much worried, but I was like, man, this is unlike Coker and company. They like to sort of move slowly, and they've done it a little different with you. That was talked about after the Zach Freeman fight. That they're throwing you back in there against Leandro Higo. Like, why not let you build a little more? Were you surprised that they gave you Higo this early, or was this something that you know, were a part of? Did you ask for him this early in your career?
No, I did. I mean, it was just really hard because it takes a while, because there's guys that drop out of fight, like that we ask to fight, and then they drop out. Like, it takes a while to get an opponent. A lot of people won't accept the fight. It's not as easy as people think. That's why I have to fight tougher guys, and that's why I want to fight tougher guys, because people say, no, I don't want to fight. Like, oh, I'm hurt, I'm this. So that's why when they just said, hey, Leandro Higo, are you going to fight? I said, yeah, absolutely. I'm at that caliber now where I have to fight tough guys, because guys are not taking fights. It takes a while, you know. People don't get back to you right away. Oh, I'm hurt all of a sudden, and this and that. And so I knew Leandro was gonna take the fight. Where he comes from and people he trains with, he was ready to come. So I felt confident because I knew he wasn't going to pull out of the fight or do anything. So back to your question, basically, that's the competition that I need to fight is top-level guys from now on.
It feels like we're moving further and further away from that MSG fight. It feels like that was, you know, some weird night, an anomaly, a distant memory. But is there any part of you, before you truly progress and take the next step, is there any part of you that wants to right the wrong against Zach Freeman so that no one ever brings that up again?
Honestly, I'm past that. I mean, it was was for me. I would say it was a bad night for me. I just stepped on a banana peel. No animosity towards him. I think the fans know what would happen, and I know what would happen. But if it ever presents itself, yeah, absolutely. But I think I'm on the bigger and better things. Other than Zach Freeman, I mean, I'm trying to get the world title. It would be, of course, yeah, it would feel good, yeah, to beat him. But he's not on my priority list by all means right now. I'm just trying to get to that world championship belt.
Who is on your priority list?
Just keep fighting top level guys in the organization. That's the biggest thing for me right now. I need to just focus on getting better, and realistically, that's up to the organization, to present the opponents. I mean, you can say you want to fight certain guys, but your job is just to stay in shape and figure out what they put in front of you. And I'm very young in my career. I have so much to learn, and that's literally my whole focus right now, is just getting better as a fighter. Every day I'm figuring out what I need to do, and so far so good. I'm improving every fight. I still haven't gotten past the first round, which is kind of crazy, but I can't control that. I'm just trying to get as much experience as I can.
Well, the champion right now at 145 in Bellator is Patricio Pitbull. Did you have a run-in with the Pitbull brothers after your fight backstage?
No, I didn't. I saw them, but nothing happened. And after the fight, I said your time is coming, and I really meant it. That's how I feel. There's a new generation of fighters. He's obviously a champion. He's been. I want people to know one thing. I respect Patricio. He's a great champion for Bellator, and he's done a lot of great things in the sport. But I'm gunning for him. That's just plain and simple. That's on my radar, is getting that world championship. He so happens to have it, and that's what I'm trying to do. There's a new generation of fighters. We're coming up and trying to replace his spot. It's kind of crazy. I was just doing the math, Ariel, and I was 3 years old when Rampage made his debut, and 7 when Gegard made his. And
wow.
To be able to fight on a card with them and those legends, it was a really good moment for me. And being up there with all those guys, I was just tripping out. And we did the math. I'm like, damn, that's crazy. I was just a little boy when these guys started their career, and now I'm starting mine, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and it's amazing. You come across just as, if not more, mature than some of those guys. It's like you're always so well dressed. You always have the right things to say. Is it just because you've been in this quote unquote spotlight for so long? It feels like some guys are thrust into this. It feels like are the kind of kid who was preparing for this and thinking about what it would be like to do interviews and to get ready on a big stage and have big fights. It's like you truly are a prodigy in that regard. Is that a fair thing to say? Like, this is something you've been preparing for, and that's why it seems like even though you're so young, you're so polished at all of this?
Yeah, as a kid, I was always watching documentaries and my favorite fighters and even wrestling and stuff. I know a lot of people would always say it doesn't really matter about what shoes you wear, or what socks goes with it, or how you look. And my dad used to always preach to me and say, you know what, you always want to look polished. You always want to look professional. It doesn't matter if we're at this little tournament. He said, trust me, it's going to pay off in the long run. I want you to wear. This is what I want you to wear. I want you to look professional. And a lot of people would always kind of laugh at him and say, "Man, you're crazy. It doesn't really matter right now." My dad would always say, "No, bullshit. It matters. It matters how you look at these tournaments. It matters how you present yourself. It all matters, and it all counts. Everybody's watching, and everybody's keeping score." That's what they would say. And yeah, as a kid, I would always want to look professional. You just feel good when you look right and you go out there and wrestle and you win. On the big stage, a lot of people are watching you, and I don't really want to look like a jackass, to be honest with you. And yeah, that is that. As a kid, my dad and my parents have always said that we want you to look good. We'll have a nice sweatsuit on. We want you to have nice shoes on with the match. It just kind of like how it's always been as a kid, and then fighting is no different. It just becomes more important, in my opinion. You look sharp, you look professional, go do your job, you come home, and do it all over again.
I had heard rumors that you were the reason why Josh Thompson pulled out of the Michael Chandler title fight because you knocked him out. I never heard Josh talk about it. I don't know if I've ever heard you talk about it, but he did mention it on the pre-fight show that you were the reason why he had to pull out of that fight. Could you tell us about that?
One thing about me is I don't ever talk about what goes on in training. I really don't. That's just my whole motto is what happens behind closed doors in the training room stays between us, and you know, they can tell the stories, but you'll never really hear anything come out of my mouth. I'm just professional like that. I don't go to other places and look to do something to a bigger name, and so I could say, oh, look, I just honestly, it's just whatever happens in the training room stays in the training room is my philosophy. It's not going to ever come out of my mouth that I did something. That's just not my style. But maybe you can have him on your show and talk about it, but it'll never come out of my mouth.
Fair enough. I respect it. I know you.
I respect those guys, and it will never come out of my mouth.
Fair enough. And I respect that. I thought maybe because he spoke about it first that you would be interested or willing, but I totally see where you're coming from. And again, to my previous point, I think that's what makes you so impressive. I know you signed a big deal when you initially signed with them, even years before you were ready to fight in MMA and fight for Bellator. Could you tell us how many fights you actually have left? I had heard it's in the range of like 15 or so more fights. Could you clarify?
You know, the contracts and things like that are you know, beyond my control. I can't discuss too much or go into detail, but I can say, you know, I have some time with Bellator. I have some more time with Bellator, and you know, it's going great so far. You know, I love fighting under the organization, being with Scott Coker and being with people that really understand the fighters. It's good. But back to your question, I don't go too much into detail with the contracts and things like that. But all I could say is I have some more time and just keep improving.
When do you want to return?
As soon as possible. I feel good. I feel healthy. You know, a little sore, but that's about it. I like to stay in shape. I mean, when I'm at home and I have nothing to do or I don't have a fight coming up, I go crazy. So we'll have to see. I'm going to talk to my management and talk to Bellator and see what they have planned. I would love for them to come to LA. I mean, last year they were here at the Forum in January. That would be really cool if they came back. I haven't heard anything about that, but I'd love to fight in LA. So,
well, I'm hearing January again for that. So maybe they'll call your number. I'm hearing that a return trip is in the works, so to speak, for January. That would be a perfect place once again for you. Aaron, keep doing your thing, my man. It is such a pleasure watching you climb that ladder in this sport, especially because I feel like we've been talking and hearing about you for so long. Actually seeing you turn into a better fighter than everyone said that you were going to be is an amazing thing. So, again, congratulations. Keep doing your thing, and continued success to you. Appreciate you coming on here today.
It's my pleasure, Ariel. I look forward to being back. Thank you.
All right, there he is, the one and only Aaron Pico. So young, so talented. Every time he fights, he does something even more impressive. He is just 22 years young. He just turned 22. 4-0 as a professional, of course, had that debut that in many ways, I think we'll look back on that debut as sort of the GSP Matt Serra moment of his career. And yes, GSP was around the sport for a long time before he lost to Matt Serra, but it changed him and it made him into a better fighter. And I feel like in some ways, and I know it's hard to quantify that loss made Aaron Pico into a better fighter, because since then, 4 straight finishes, 4 straight either TKOs or KOs. None of them have gone past the first round. The longest he's gone is 3 minutes and 45 seconds. And as I said, he just defeated Leandro Higo, who is 29 years old, and went into that fight with an 18-4 record, training with the likes of the Pitbull brothers. No easy feat, an unbelievable performance. He continues to impress. I'm looking forward to what's next for him.